Hey everyone, I finished watching the next Street Shark episode earlier, Rebel Sharks. This was a really cool episode, and also a relevant one, oddly. Wasn't expecting that when I started this. Anyway, it starts off with, there's, oh yeah, the beginning is quite different from the usual Street Shark episodes. We have this boy sitting in the middle of ruins of old buildings. He's listening to the radio. There's a broadcast of Guy in the Sky talking about the street shark saving the day or whatever. And one of the things that struck me was, okay, this is supposed to be somewhere in like Eastern Europe or something. Uh, why are they getting this random like news show from the US? Unless maybe Guy in the Sky is like the only one covering the sharks. So this country is like using his news as a source or something. Whatever. Anyway, the kid is all excited and he writes a letter to the street sharks. And so then street sharks are at their base or whatever, and Benz comes in with this big bag full of fan mail. He dumps it out, and I do like this little detail that um I, I don't know if later on they would have acknowledged this, or like if the show had been treated a little sillier, they wouldn't have acknowledged this. Ripster asks Benz, how do we get all this fan mail? Aren't we supposed to be incognito? No one knows our location. And Benz is like, I have a pal who works in the dead letter office in the post office, and he got us these. And Jab is like, cool, just like the North Pole. So I do like that they give some kind of explanation for how they get fan mail, considering no one is supposed to know where their base is. So then Slamu takes out one of the letters, and it's the one from this kid in the beginning. He can't read the language. I can't read it either. I think it's all made up, although if it is an actual language that's written on the letter, that's cool, I guess. So anyway, luckily Benz has a pocket translator, which is actually a pretty cool little device, and it's actually kind of a practical, realistic thing. Usually in Street Sharks, Benz's inventions, his weapons, the vehicles are all pretty fantastic. And like last episode, there was the Road Ripper, which was just completely impractical and made absolutely no sense. However, the little scanner thing actually works. He rolls it over the letters, it scans it into the screen, it like identifies each letter and then translates it to its best in English. And one of the things I think is a really cool little detail is when it translates it like how you would realistically translate something from another language. Like the grammar and phonetics aren't, or is it phonetics? Whatever. The grammar isn't exactly like what would be considered proper English. Like, crap, I don't know my grammatical terms. So anyway, it's a neat little detail and I like it. So then, anyway, the letter is from the boy at the beginning. He writes that his father's in trouble and that he needs their help. And, the name of the country the boy is from is Chernozem, which is pretty obviously a combination of Chernobyl and, I don't know. Oh, and interestingly, Chernobyl's been in the news, and it's not good. So, moving away from real stuff that's depressing. Let's see, Oh yeah, there's a map in the letter, so the sharks fly there in one of Benz's jets. Just, yeah, just on a whim, they can internationally travel, internationally fly on their own private jet to this other country, which is apparently a hostile country. Just, just whenever. Street Sharks was a silly show. So anyway, they get this. There's this horn blaring a warning at them, but it's another language. Benz turns on this computer translator, and oddly, the computer translator speaks in an accent, which is kind of a combination of like a cartoony Russian and Austrian accent. Okay, like mainly, I'm guessing Chernozem, this whole fictional country. At least I assume Chernozem is a fictional country. I didn't actually go to the trouble to look it up. Whatever. Anyway, I'm sure it's based mainly on Russia and like countries like that dealt with similar things back in like the 70s, 80s, so whatever. Um, yeah, they translate the thing, but before they have a chance to actually do anything, they get fired at by a guard tower. They crash in the mud, and then let's see. Oh, there's a funny little animation bit error where let's see, Benz walks over to the downed jet and in Ripster's voice says, "It looks bad." So yeah, there's still the weird, like, voices not matching up to the right characters at times, but for the most part, the animation in this episode is pretty good, and there's a few parts that remind me of, like, episodes that I really liked back in the first season, or second season. I really don't know. I was looking up information about this episode earlier, and for some reason this is called Season 3. Apparently the 3-part premiere, that's Season 1. So the rest of the first season is actually the second season? Whatever, I'm just gonna keep calling this Season 2 because I consider the premiere like the premiere of the first season. It's kind of separate and its own thing, but also it does tie in like with the rest of what goes on in the rest of the following season, so I'm just gonna call this Season 2 and I don't care. Whatever. The DVD doesn't even bother to separate them by season anyway, so blah, 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 blah. So let's see. Oh yeah. Benz tells the sharks to go find the boy, he's gonna stay here, fix the jet. But then for some reason he goes with the sharks to infiltrate the city. Alright, whatever. So anyway, they come to this big concrete wall that's blocking them, and they can't just bite through it because it's electrified, so Benz pulls a jetpack out of his back pocket, I guess. Gives it to Jab, who does have experience flying jetpacks. He jets over the wall, and he takes out this guard tower, which I guess de-electrifies the wall. Sure. So then he can bite through it, everybody goes through, and then Benz is like, I'm gonna go fix the jet for real this time, and he does. So then the sharks make it into the city, and they see this big blimp playing this fat guy who kind of looks like the hotel owner from that one old Looney Tunes cartoon where Porky and Daffy are stuck in this hotel that they can't pay for, and the manager is trying to keep them there until they pay him. That's what the dictator guy on the screen looks like. Eckerson Nosum. And when I was a kid, I remember seeing this episode. The name of the country is Chernosum, and the dictator guy is Eckerson Nosum. And they always say his full name, Eckerson Nosum. So I kept thinking, wait, was the country named after him? Because it kind of sounds like Ek Chernosum. I think they could have came up with a better name for the dictator, or a different name for the country. Whatever. So anyway, they see there's a group of people, and they have, like, no reaction to the sharks. They just walk right on by with dead expressions in their faces, and the sharks are like, whoa, that's weird. And then they see the hypnotic, the big blimps with the big screen with the dictator, and there's a swirl that hypnotizes the sharks momentarily. But then Ripster's like, snap out of it, guys, it's hypnosis. We can't look up, don't look into it. And so then, let's see, they find the where is it? Oh yeah, they find the boy, and I do like this little detail. That's kind of a cool thing. When the boy first sees the sharks, he turns and runs because he doesn't know what they look like. He's heard about them on the radio, but he's never actually seen them. So he doesn't know that they're big freaking monsters. So anyway, when they introduce themselves, it's okay, kid, we're the street sharks. We answered your letter. Street sharks! And then he goes over and immediately hugs them, which is cute. Anyway, he tells them what's been going on. This Eckerson Nosum guy took over the country and threw his father in prison. He has these big blimps that hypnotize everybody. And the sharks are like, what about you, Ilya? Oh yeah, the boy's name is Ilya. I guess he signed his name on the letter and the sharks just didn't say it until now. Oh, is Ilya a boy's name? I think it is, because, like, I've heard, like, some Russian people who have the name Ilya in their guys. I don't know, Ilya in American English kind of sounds like a girl's name, whatever. Anyway, Ilya... Oh, my notes just shut off here for some reason. Okay, there it goes. Anyway, Ilya tells the sharks that he was part of a group of kids who were about to be brainwashed, but he was able to sneak away by leaving. Yeah, some parts are clunky in Street Sharks, whatever. So anyway, he escaped, and he tells the sharks about his father is in prison. The sharks tell him that they're going to save his father. They go outside, and immediately the sharks pretend, although we don't know this at first, they pretend to be hypnotized. And they didn't let Ilya in on this, or if they did, the audience doesn't know. Alright. So anyway, they're taken to this prison camp. They have these shock collars put on. Ilya and the sharks are being led into the camp, and then Ilya looks over, he sees his father, "Father!" And then they go and they hug, but then their shock collars go off, and at first, like I thought, is this keep them from getting too close to each other? Or was this just to keep them separated? Was this manual that someone clicked something? Also, how do they aim? Because it seems like, okay, the shock collar has like a remote control. They show it later. The guards have little remote controls to activate the shock collars. How do they know who they're shocking? I mean, I know it's a corrupt dictatorship, but, so they probably don't care. It's not like they're ethical about anything here. But say they only wanted to shock one person in particular, how do they know the other people around them aren't going to get, like, some of it? Or if they, like, aim slightly off, the other person's going to get it, and the person they're trying to shock is able to avoid it. Maybe I'm thinking too much into this, but whatever. Ripster informs the other sharks he has a plan, and then later Streaks creates a diversion, and he's able to distract the guards long enough for Ripster to burrow his way out, and there's a bit where Streaks crashes into the wall after they activate his shock collar. Ripster is, let's see. Oh yeah, he gets out, he's up on the ground, he's running out. They activate his shock collar, but he endures it and runs right through, like, any pain it's causing, which is pretty cool. He's a pretty tough guy. So he gets to Ben's, and Ben's, like, immediately knows how to deactivate the collar. He takes out this thing because he's Ben's, and he just has everything now. He's Inspector Gadget now. Whatever. He turns up this thing, and the whole collar just disintegrates. Huh. Alright, so he gives it to Ripster. Ripster goes back in. He uses it to deactivate all the, and disintegrate all the shock collars in the prison, and lead a prison riot. And then the flow of the episode is absolutely stopped dead by a music video. A spoiler-filled music video, which is really freaking annoying. I do vaguely remember these from when I was a kid watching it on TV, that there were music videos, but from what I remember, these played, like, during commercial breaks. Like, how's the episode go? Oh yeah. They had just broken the collars, and then, like, I seem to remember seeing this episode on TV. I don't know. I think I remember the music videos playing, like, in the middle of the commercial breaks. Like, they'd play a couple of commercials, then the music video, then more commercials, then back to the actual episode. Although maybe, I don't know, maybe it played before the commercials, or maybe it played after the commercials, whatever. But it was a bit more of a disconnect from the actual episode, because there's a commercial break in there. With the DVD, it's left in, and, like, I don't mind it being left in, because it's an original song for the show, and it's an okay song. I would have liked this better if it were separated from the actual episode and on as, like, a bonus feature, kind of like what they do with, like the Thomas and Friends DVDs. They'll have, like, the music videos as a separate bonus thing. That'd be a nice thing for Street Sharks. Also, it would avoid spoiling their own episode. That's the most annoying thing with these music videos, is they play multiple scenes from the episode, including scenes that haven't even happened yet. That's really annoying. So anyway, after the music video, oh, and it is short at least, it's under a minute, which is nice. So then back at the actual episode, the sharks are leading the prison riot, they take out some of the blimps, the prisoners are all free, and they're all, like, cheering for Ilya's father, and the sharks are like, "Ilya, how come they're all cheering for your father?" And he's like, "Oh, he's the president." And the sharks are like, "He's the president? You didn't tell us that." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, he's just my father to me." Which is another nice little detail. I really like that. It's a clever writing thing. Oh, and his father's name is Andrei Nezovic, and I actually know how to spell his name, because there's a scene with these, like, protesters somewhere holding up a sign that says Nezovic written out. So I actually know how to spell his name. Chernozem, they never actually show spelled out in the episode, so I didn't know how to spell it. But everywhere online, it's spelled out like Chernozium. Or, Chernozium. Where's the eum coming from? It's just Chernozem. Chernozium, some of the sharks do call, like, the people, or they also say Chernozian. Whatever. Oh yeah, and the bad guy, the dictator, Eckerson knows him. They never show how his name is spelled in the show. I looked it up, and yeah, it's Eckerson knows him. There's no, like, There's not an H in there or anything. So, whatever. Anyway, Jab jumps up into the building where Eckerson knows him is. He's about to start a new hypnotic broadcast or something. Jab accidentally looks into it and he's frozen for a second. Then the other sharks break in and he snaps out of it. He pushes over Nozem and this general that he has. And then the day is saved and the country is free because he pushed their dictator out of a chair. Alright. Imagine if the whole Russian-Ukraine thing was solved by, like, going up to Putin and just pushing him out of his chair. Like, it's a cartoon, it's silly, I know, but... And there is, like, some implication that he's probably going to be arrested and imprisoned after this whole thing, and, the Nezovic guy is gonna come back to power. Oh, what are the Sharks gonna do if Nezovic turns out to be worse? Like, he does, like, put an end to the hypnotic blimps. He puts an end to, oh yeah, also, a lot of the population was put to work in weapons factories. I forgot to mention that, because, I don't know, it's kind of an overlooked thing in the episode itself. Most of the episode is about the people in the prison camp, not the people, in the weapons factory. Oh, and the whole deal with the hypnosis thing, why couldn't they just hypnotize all the prisoners? Like, what's stopping them from doing that? Because at the end, like, they show that even the guards were under hypnosis, and they're all, like, totally happy when the hypnosis is broken, and they join back with Nezovic. So I'm wondering, why didn't they just hypnotize the people in the prison camp? Was there a deleted, like, subplot about the people in the camp, or the people that the hypnosis wouldn't work on, or something? I don't know. Anyway... the Sharks head home after telling Ilya that they'll come back to visit someday, and they'll bring him a hamburger, because Ilya's never had a hamburger before. So there's the end. It's a goofy, silly episode, but I really like it. It's a good one, and also, with the current events over in Russia, Ukraine, it's actually kind of relevant again, which is weird. Wouldn't have expected a dumb Street Sharks episode to be relevant in 30 years later, nearly. Wow. So anyway, yeah. It's kind of a silly idea, like, the whole country is free after they just push the dictator out of his chair. Also, the other weird thing is, they were never really in control of the country, they were just hypnotizing people, which... You can't hypnotize an entire country like that, that doesn't work. Although, it does kind of work, I guess, as a metaphor for, like, propaganda campaigns and, like, brainwashing people. Or gene-washing. And, yeah. Also, that would have probably muddied up the ending a bit if they had tried to make this a little more realistic. Though it's Street Sharks, realism probably wasn't the first goal. In reality, taking over a country like that with this kind of a dictator who pushes... let's say propaganda is the metaphor hypnosis is going for, even if he was taken out of power, like he is in this episode, along with his general, there would still be a sizable part of the population that still supported him. Also, like, I'm guessing even in this episode, in the context, like, even if this were to actually happen, a guy mass hypnotized an entire country and imprisoned the people who weren't hypnotized, they'd probably still have supporters of some kind somewhere in the country. People who would want them back, and people who would want to stay, like, under hypnosis or whatever. So, yeah, anyway. Enjoyable episode. It's a goofy one. That's all I have to say for this one, so see ya.